Healthcare is clearly under attack in the Trump administration, and we are seeing pushback. The latest is at the Supreme Court. The case Medina versus Planned Parenthood in South Carolina is trying to take away Medicaid patients' right to choose their doctors. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break this down. So specifically, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in the case Medina versus South Carolina. This involves the South Carolina governor's attempt to basically defund Planned Parenthood, saying that Medicaid funds could not go to Planned Parenthood. Patients sued, saying you are taking away our right to choose our doctor, because half of all patients at Planned Parenthood receive Medicaid. And we're not talking about abortions here, because it is already not allowed to use federal money for abortion. So we are talking about people who are going to Planned Parenthood for healthcare, for general healthcare. They're going there for cancer screenings, for annual checkups, yes, for family planning. They say 4 out of 10 patients at Planned Parenthood say that this is their most recent medical care period. Basically, this is their primary doctor. And so when you defund Planned Parenthood, when you take away the Medicaid funding to Planned Parenthood, you are essentially taking away healthcare for half of their patients. 4 out of 10 women, you're taking away the choice of where they can go see their doctor. And that was what is at stake. And it seems that Justice Amy Coney Barrett, again, may be the deciding factor in this case. Because what this kind of boiled down to was this legal issue of whether or not states receiving funding from Medicaid can put restrictions on whether or not a patient can go see certain doctors. The Medicaid funding language says that patients should be able to see the doctors of their choice. Here, clearly, if you're taking away the funding to Planned Parenthood, and these patients are saying these are the doctors of their choice, they can no longer see the doctors of their choice. But South Carolina is saying that that language that says that patients, who are, states who are receiving funding can't take away the choice of a doctor, is not giving a legal right to sue to the patients. That instead, this is a benefit. It's not a right. It's basically a benefit to go see a certain doctor, but not a right that you can legally sue. And of course, the conservative wing of the Supreme Court likes that language. They don't want to give people, American citizens, more opportunities to sue the government. So they agree, essentially, with South Carolina that this is not a right to sue. South Carolina says that instead, patients should just file administrative complaints, essentially, if you do not have the ability to see the doctor of your choice. Even Justice Gorsuch, who may not side with the liberals, and hopefully Justice Amy Coney Barrett as well, point out the fact of how kind of nonsensical it is to tell patients to go ahead and just file an administrative complaint, because here the governor is in charge of overseeing administrative system. So essentially the governor, who is trying to take away patients' right to choose, can then be the one in charge of the complaints. There's a reason why there's so many lawyers in this country, is because lawsuits are very effective. And so if you take away patients' right to sue, when a state takes away their ability to see their doctor, it makes it much easier for states to trample on people's health care. So we have the liberal justices clearly seeing this. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, in her oral argument, seeming to also agree that this idea that you could take away this but not call it a right that you could sue over, seems to be putting this in a box. And so in this respect, this is just one of the cases going up to the Supreme Court that has to do with the Trump administration. This is just one of the areas where Trump administration is trying to take away people's health care. But in some way, it almost perfectly encapsulates it, because this is about choice. At the end of the day, it's about choice, and it's about people's healthcare. It's about saying, we're not even talking about abortion here. This is about saying somebody doesn't have a right to go see the doctor that they want to see. This is about somebody going through some really serious health issues, maybe, and taking away the doctor that has seen them for years. This is what we are talking about. Trump using government. There's supposed to be small government. I mean, those days are over. Using government to get in between a patient, in this case, a woman, and her doctor that she has wanted to see. So this ending up at the Supreme Court, we're seeing Justice Amy Coney Barrett pushing back. Hopefully her and Chief Justice Roberts siding with the liberals, standing in, protecting Americans' right to choose essentially what doctor they want to go see, and protecting that with the right to sue, because as we know, lawsuits sometimes are the only ways we can get government to change or to do the right thing. This is why we have seen so many lawsuits since Trump has come into office, because it is the most effective and perhaps the only way to get the governments to do the right thing. There are plenty of skincare products out there promising to turn back time, but how do you know they actually work? With OneSkin, there's no guesswork. Their products are backed by lab and clinical data and powered by their proprietary OS1 peptide. OS1 is the first peptide scientifically proven to target zombie cells, those dysfunctional sentient cells that speed up aging at the cellular level. You can only find OS1 in OneSkin's moisturizers, sunscreens, and now in their latest product, OS1 Hair. This daily scalp serum tackles those same zombie cells, but instead of targeting lines and wrinkles, it combats the aging cells in your hair follicles to reactivate your natural growth cycle. It's perfect for anyone dealing with hair loss, thinning, or shedding, or if you just want thicker, denser hair. In a 3-month clinical study, they found real improvements in hair density, fullness, and overall scalp health. Try OS1 Hair or any of OneSkin's products with 15% off your first purchase. Use code MISTRIAL at oneskin.com. I have really enjoyed my use of OneSkin's moisturizer. Specifically, I enjoy it before I put my makeup on and on my neck. I have noticed that my sensitive, aging, acne-prone skin likes the OneSkin moisturizer, and specifically under my makeup. My makeup can be very drying, and this gives it just a really great base that I can then put on my makeup, and I notice it doesn't dry my skin out that much. I've been really enjoying using the OneSkin moisturizer. And what's so great about it also is that OneSkin was founded in 2016 by an all-women team of scientists with PhDs in skin regeneration, stem cell biology, immunology, and bioinformatics. OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide. Get 15% off with code MISTRIAL at oneskin.co. That's 15% off. oneskin.co with code MISTRIAL. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin and scalp with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. In the latest legal lawsuit in trying to stop the Trump administration for basically taking away American health care, 23 states have sued the Department of Health and Human Services for the fact that they issued a termination of $11 billion in money that they owed to the states, trying to basically rescind the money that they promised under the Health and Human Services. And these states suing, saying, of course, this is illegal under the same types of grounds that we've seen with lawsuits with the other Trump administrations. It's arbitrary. This is money allocated by Congress. You're doing this in a violation of the Administrative Procedures Act. Same argument, because of course they are not following the law when they try to do things like withhold $11 billion in money promised to the states. And the interesting thing about these states that are suing, there's 23 states. It's not just, the blue states that you would expect. It includes Arizona, Nevada, Colorado. Yes, those are usually blue, but it also includes Kentucky, states that these states rely on this money. And the states go through and talk about what will happen if they don't receive the promised money. We're talking about real jobs lost. We're talking about the fact that they cannot replace laboratory equipment. They're talking about the fact that they can't track infectious diseases. They can't be prepared for their children vaccine programs. We're talking about not being ready to track or protect people from measles spread. We're talking about the bird flu pandemic. They itemize all the real ways this money goes to helping American people's protecting their health, keeping people safe. We rely on our government in a lot of ways to do this, to help track infectious diseases, protect us from infectious diseases, and the Trump administration just making it that much harder for states and local governments to do it. And so they are suing, saying that you cannot withhold this money and you certainly can't withhold it illegally. So just the latest lawsuit, the latest pushback from states, and, we see the Supreme Court even, recently, all of these actions that the Trump administration is trying to take to essentially making it harder for the American people to get the health care that they need. And this is just the latest one. We're also seeing pushback from the scientists themselves. 1,900 scientists, members of the National Academy of Scientists and Engineers, wrote an open letter to the American people calling this an SOS moment. They see what is happening in real time with the cuts to our scientific research. And they are saying that, quote, the funding cuts are forcing institutions to pause research, including studies of new disease treatments, dismiss faculty, and stop enrolling graduate students, the pipeline for the next generation scientists. They talk about the fact that the Trump administration is investigating more than 50 universities in order to have a chilling effect on scientific research and to have them adopt Trump's policies. The letter goes on to say, Columbia University was recently notified that its federal funding would be withheld unless it adopted disciplinary policies and disabled an academic department targeted by the administration. That department was the Middle Eastern, South Asian, African Studies Department. So the letter also specifically talks about the attack on research going into climate change and says that researchers afraid of losing their funding or job security are removing their names from publications, abandoning studies, and rewriting grant proposals and papers to remove scientifically accurate terms such as climate change that agencies are flagging as objectionable. This is what is happening in real time. And these scientists calling out the administration, pushing back in their own way. Yet another example of how the American people, whether it's scientists or attorney generals from states, standing up against the Trump administration. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. We will continue to break down all of the legal developments coming out of this administration.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.